Good day, this is NSA302 Environmental Health. I'll be taking you through study section 6, Water Disposal and Vector Control. When you have studied this section, you should be able to define waste management and explain the various methods involved in waste management. You should be able to explain integrated vector management and its key elements. And lastly, you should be able to describe the various methods of vector control. Waste management is the generation, prevention, characterization, monitoring, treatment, handling, reuse, and residual disposition of solid waste. There are various types of solid waste, including number 1, non-simple, which could be residential, institutional, commercial, agricultural, and special, which could be healthcare, household, hazardous waste, sewage, sludge, and so on. The term usually relates to materials produced by human activity, and the process is generally undertaken to reduce their effect on health, the environment, or aesthetics. Waste management practices are not uniform among countries, regions, and sectors. Integrated Vector Management (IVM) is the strategic approach to vector control promoted by World Health Organization (WHO) and defined as a rational decision-making process for the optimal use of resources for vector control. IM considers 5 key elements in the management process, and we are going to list and explain them. The first is advocacy, social mobilization, and legislation. This involves the promotion of the principle in development policies of all relevant agencies, organizations, and civil societies, the establishment or strengthening of regulatory and legislative controls for public health, and the empowerment of communities. Unlike chronic or sexual transmitted infections, vector-borne diseases require more than individual behavior-borne diseases. Individual change in order to influence disease transmission. Behavioral change is required at both individual and community level in order to reduce vector-larval habitat successfully, and in turn to reduce the number of adult mosquitoes available to transmit disease. This has led to greater emphasis on social mobilization and communication activities, which are fully integrated into the prevention and control efforts. In order to develop an appropriate communication strategy, it is necessary to understand that through various channels such as interpersonal communication or mass media. Once collective actions have been identified, social mobilization can be used to engage people's participation in achieving specific goals through their own effort. Let's talk about collaboration within the health sector with other sectors, which is the second key element in management process. Intersectoral collaboration among partners is a key strategy of IVM. Networking facilities are more coordinated approach than the individual and independent effort of different sectors, and provide a platform for partners to resolve cross-agency issues and to share the best practices while reducing duplication of efforts. The third key element is integrated approach to disease control. This aims at ensuring the rational use of available resources through the application of a multi-disease control approach, integration of non-chemical and chemical vector control methods, and integration with other disease control measures. The fourth key element is evidence-based decision making. This ensures adaptation of strategies and interventions to local vector ecology, epidemiology, and resources, guided by operational research and subject to routine monitoring and evaluation. And the last on the list is the capacity building. Capacity building involves the development of essential infrastructure, financial resources, and adequate human resources at national and local levels to manage IVM programs based on the situation analysis in selecting the most on a situation analysis. In selecting most appropriate vector control method or combination of methods, consideration should be given to the local ecology and behavior of target species, the resources available for implementation, the cultural context in which control interventions are carried out, and the feasibility of applying them in a timely manner and adequacy of coverage. Let's talk about method of vector control, and this can be divided into 4 basic categories, which are the environmental management, chemical control, which includes sale of use of insecticide, individual and house protection, and lastly biological control. Under environmental management, we have environmental modification, environmental population, environmental manipulation, and changes to human habitation of behavior. But let us first of all talk about environmental management. Environmental management seeks to change the environment in order to prevent or minimize vector propagation and human contact with the vector pathogen by destroying, altering, removing, recycling non-essential containers that provide larval habitats. Such actions should be the mainstay of vector control. 3 types of environmental management are: number 1, environmental modification, environmental manipulation, and changes to human habitation or behavior. Let's talk about the second method, which is chemical control. Although chemicals are widely used to treat larval habitats, larvicidin should be considered as complementary to environmental management and, except in emergencies, should be restricted to containers that cannot otherwise be eliminated or managed. Larvicides may be impractical to apply in hard-to-reach natural sites such as leaf axes and tree holes, which are common habitats of hay, Albopictus, which is spelled AE.ALBOPICTUS, or in deep wells. The difficulty of assessing indoor larval habitat of Aegypti, which is spelled AI.AEGYPTI, e.g. water storage containers, plant vessels, saucers. To apply larvicide is a major limitation in many urban contexts. Let's talk about the safe use of insecticide. All pesticides are toxic to some degree. Safety precautions for their use, including care in the handling of pesticides, safe work practices for those who apply them, and appropriate feed application should be followed. A safety plan for insecticide, for example, application, can be organized along the following lines. Number 1, instructions on pesticide labels should be followed carefully. Number 2, spray operators should be provided with at least 2 uniforms to allow for frequent changes. Number 3, safety gloves, goggles, and masks should be used for high exposure activities such as machine calibration. Number 4, changing and wasting facilities should be available. Number 5, all work clothes should be removed at the end of each day's operation and shower for or bath taking. So these are some of the precautions to be taken. Let's move on as we discuss other things, which is the individual household protection. Clothing that minimizes skin exposure during daylight hours when mosquitoes are most active afford some protection from the bites of dengue vectors and is encouraged particularly during outbreaks. So clothing that minimizes skin exposure should be worn in order to avoid dengue vectors through bites. Let's talk about biological control. Biological control is based on the introduction of organisms that prey upon, parasitize, compete with, or otherwise reduce population of the target species. While biological control avoids chemical contamination of the environment, there may be operational limitations, such as the expense and task of rearing the organisms on a large scale, difficulty in applying them, and their limited utility in aquatic sites where temperature, pH, organic pollution may exceed the narrow requirements of the organization. I hope you have learned one or two things in this presentation, and I hope that you will continue to learn more as you proceed to other subsequent study section. Thanks for listening.